in an explosive, potentially earthquaking encounter in the semi-finals of the African Cup of Nations that is holding in that country. Massive, massive game. A game that is generating a lot of interest, a lot of arguments, a lot of apprehension, if you like. And then the interest cuts across Africa and then spills over to the rest of the world. And right now, we would be joined by someone who is across the Atlantic in far away, the United States. Atlanta, Georgia, is a former Super Eagles, a Green Eagles player, a former player in the days of the Green Eagles. He played for the team, and he played in 1984, 40 years ago, when the Super Eagles last had a Nations Cup to play in Côte d'Ivoire. They got on to the final. They played the semi-final in Bouaké back then in 1984, 40 years ago. I'm talking here of Paul Okoku. Paul Okoku is now a chief. Paul Okoku is joining us from Atlanta, Georgia, the United States. The city of Bouaké in Côte d'Ivoire holds really great memories, fond memories for you, because it was in that city back in 1984 where you played the group stage of the African Cup of Nations and played semi-finals there, won it against Egypt, and won those games against Ghana. You want to tell us about how it went in 1984 in Bouaké? Let's hear a bit about how you played in that competition 40 years ago, Okoku.
Indeed, Ivory Coast has a special place in my heart, especially Bouaké, where unforgettable memories were made. For me personally and for my teammates, I tell you, playing in the group stage against Ghana, Algeria, and Malawi set the stage for the semi-finals. Facing Egypt in the semi-finals was a memorable challenge in itself. I tell you, every match in that tournament was a testament to our resilience and determination. I was just so grateful to be part of that incredible journey.
Absolutely special, incredible. That was 40 years ago. You played at the group stage there. You made it there and made it to the semi-finals and even to the finals against Cameroon. Now, today, Nigeria will be up against South Africa in the semi-finals of the African Cup of Nations, and it is going to be in Bouaké. What are you expecting from the Super Eagles in that game?
It is fascinating to see the parallels between our journey in the group stage back then in 1984 AFCON and the current performance and efforts of the Super Eagles in the ongoing AFCON 2024. After so many years, we are back in the semi-finals. So my expectations are very but simple. Show up and perform to expectation, even higher than expectation. The ball is in your court. You determine how far you want to go in the tournament. The midfielders have to show up. That's the engine room. They have to perform to expectation. Listen to your coach's instructions. Don't try to be the hero. Play with your heart and draw your determination from the legacy of the past heroes. Play well and let the day belong to you.
Now, before I let you go, Chief, I would like to put you on the spot. And the question is, Nigeria versus South Africa, the semi-finals of the Africa Cup of Nations. Who's going to win? And what's going to be the scoreline?
The million-dollar question. I would say Nigeria, given their recent form and track record. Let's go with 2-1 for Nigeria.
All right, that was Paul Okoku, a member of the 1984 African Cup of Nations silver winning Green Eagles, as the team was then known. And he's looking forward to the Super Eagles doing wonderful things this time around. And wonderful things will mean beating their opponents, South Africa, in the semi-final and making it to the final and then clinching the title. But of course, they have to get past the South Africans first. And that game will be happening this evening right here. And someone was asking